Barakim Habarim, welcome to Messianic Moment Ministries. I'm Stephen Bruck, you know who you are, and today is the first day of June 2023. Welcome to almost halfway through the year. Well, in the book of Acts, chapter 9, in nearly every Bible that has one of those little headings over the chapter, they call this chapter Paul's Conversion to Christianity. But was he ever really a Christian? Well, the answer needs to be prefaced with the fact that there were no Christians during the time that Shaul, that's Paul's real name, during the time he was persecuting the believing Jews. The only people at that time who were accepting Yeshua as their Messiah were, well, Jews. There was no contact with the Gentiles. There were no Christians. There were no churches. There was no Christmas or Easter. There was no rule about not eating meat on Friday. The Shabbat was Friday night to Saturday night. There was no Sunday confession. None of that would exist as we know it today until literally hundreds of years later. The Gentiles weren't even a consideration when it came to Yeshua's teachings or salvation until after Kepha, that's Peter, had the vision on the rooftop and went to the house of the Roman officer Cornelius. You read about that in Acts 10. It's assumed this happened maybe 7 to 8 years after Yeshua's resurrection. Now, Shaul's vision of Yeshua was around the same time that Kepha had his vision on the rooftop, circa around 36 AD. So, as Kepha was given the okie dokie to approach Gentiles, Shaul was being slapped upside the head so he could accept Yeshua, and he, as stated in Acts, always went to the synagogues when he entered a town. You know, his first letter wasn't written until maybe some 12 years later, and that was the one to the Galatians. If you look him up on Wikipedia, it will tell you this, quote, Paul, previously called Shaul of Tarsus, circa 5 to circa 64-65 AD, commonly known as Paul the Apostle and St. Paul, was a Christian apostle who spread the teachings of Jesus in the first world, end the quotes. And though I find Wikipedia to be a good research source, in this case, they are dead wrong, repeating the Christian desire to remove Shaul from his true Jewish persona and rebrand him as a Christian. But the truth is, Shaul never was a Christian and never even changed his name. That was a Greek translation of his Hebrew name, and I seriously doubt anyone ever called him Paul during his lifetime, just like no one ever called Yeshua Jesus. The truth is, Shaul never converted to Christianity, which, as we know, again, didn't even exist. The fact is, he remained a Pharisee, a Jew's Jew, all his life. And if you don't want to believe me, hey, that's fine. Let's see the way Shaul identified himself to others. In Acts 21, in Jerusalem, that's Jerusalem, Shaul is accused of the Jews there teaching to ignore the Torah. Well, the elders ask him to prove he is still a practicing Jew by observing the Torah requirement regarding taking an oath, which he does, proving he is still a Torah-observant Jew. Now, at the end of the chapter 21 and the beginning of chapter 22 in Acts, Shaul's making a defense for himself in front of the Jewish population of Jerusalem. In Acts 21:39, he tells the Roman commander, when asking permission to speak to them, that he is a Jew from Tarsus. And when he talks to the people, he tells them he is a Jew, born in Tarsus and trained under Gamaliel. When he wrote to the Philippians, this is Philippians 3:5-6, he told them that he is a Jew. He was given Brit Milah, which is circumcision, on the 8th day. By birth, he belongs to Israel, from the tribe of Benjamin. He is a Hebrew speaker with Hebrew-speaking parents, and with regards to the Torah, he was a Parush, that's Pharisee, who zealously persecuted the Messianic Jews, and with regard to a legalistic observance of the Torah, he was blameless. Now know this, he wrote that letter at the end of his life, while he was a prisoner in Rome, so it's clear that throughout his life, all during the time he was a missionary throughout Europe, Asia, and the Middle East, he remained a Torah-observant Jew. Now another letter he wrote, which was some 18 years after he first became a believing Jew, was to the Corinthians. Now in that letter, Corinthians 11:22, He states that as far as other people boasting about their right to be an apostle, he has more of a right to do so. He says he is also a Hebrew speaker. Remember, only Jews spoke Hebrew. He says he is also a person of Israel, and he says he is also a descendant of Abraham. In Ephesians 3:8, this is again written while he was a prisoner in Rome near the end of his life. Shaul tells that congregation that he is a prisoner on behalf of you Gentiles, and later states he is one of God's holy people. In both those statements, he's clearly separating himself from Gentiles, identifying as a Jew. All right, time out. It's important that you understand the Jewish mindset. All right, there are not a lot of different religions. There's simply us and them. The word goyim or goyim means nations, and for a Jew, especially back in those days, there were only two kinds of people in the world: Jews and everyone else. So anytime Shaul in any way whatsoever indicates he is separate from the Gentiles, he's stating he identifies as a Jew. One last proof. When you read the letters that Shaul wrote, in nearly every single one of them you will find that he always goes to the synagogues the moment he comes into town. He states in Romans 1:16 that the message of the good news of salvation through Messiah Yeshua was to go to the Jew first, then the Gentile. Well, Shaul was a Jew, taking the good news to his own people first, then to the rest of the world. There you have it. Look, Shaul was a Jew. He never converted to anything. He always observed the Torah, and he never taught to ignore the Torah, but simply that Gentiles did not have to convert to a Torah-observant lifestyle, cold turkey, the moment they accepted Yeshua as their Messiah. You know, this is what's so ironic. Traditional Christian teaching is that during the first century, the Jews were converting to Christianity. But the truth is, the pagan Gentiles were converting to Judaism. Well, thank you for being here, and please subscribe to my website. There's a subscribe button in the right-hand margin there, and here on the YouTube channel, one of these icons, someone click on them. Click notifications, click the little bell so you know when I post. And share these messages, please, with everyone you know to help this ministry continue to grow. I've had a couple of new subscribers to the YouTube channel in the last couple of days. I thank you. If you're watching this, thank you for joining. And when you're on my website, please check out my books. Don't check them out. Just buy them. Look, if you like what you get here, you will also like my books. And I invite everyone to join my Facebook group. It's called Just God's Word. But please make sure you click and agree to the rules. I can't allow you to join. You can't even post. And remember, I always welcome your comments. Well, that's it for this week. So, the Hitrot, and let me wish you an early Shabbat Shalom.